Now to speak more about the protests, Kay Wright Lewis, an assistant history professor at Howard University. She's the author of A Curse Upon the Nation, Race, Freedom, and Extermination in America and the Atlantic World. Kay, thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you, Guan.
How do you make of the fact that the counter-protesters way outnumber the protesters?
Well, I think it's reflective of where America is today. And, you know, one of the challenges as a historian I find, and this is what I talk about in my book, A Curse Upon the Nation, is that we are sort of steeped in this imagination that somehow or other whites have been marginalized by what has occurred, which is an open playing field racially in terms of other groups having equal opportunities, equal access to education. This country started on a sort of an illusory footing with slavery. And so slavery shaped race, it shaped violence, and it also shaped a rationale for who could be prosperous and who couldn't. So part of the tension that exists today is an anxiety about whether other groups being able to prosper will mean that these groups will not prosper. And so the challenge is to sort of push back against that fear. And I'm so happy to see that there are so many Anglo-Americans out there who really understand that it really isn't about a them or us. It really is about we as Americans. What can we do collectively?
And then, Professor Lewis, how do you look at the responses from the right-wing activists? Some of them are saying today that they think they're the stock of America. You know, they are the founding stock of the U.S., quote unquote. You know, we've just heard from the supremacist leader saying that the people on the left are indoctrinated.
Yes, so, you know, the challenge is that they don't know the history of this country either. And it certainly is the case that African Americans, Asian Americans, Irish Americans, Italian Americans, Jewish Americans, all the people who have been marginalized by some of these white supremacist groups are the backbone. They are the sinew that have built this country. So although this country was not created by Europeans because it already existed, it was Native American land. It's important to understand that my ancestors have been here from the very beginning, earlier than some of these newer immigrants who are complaining about the subsequent new immigrants that are coming to this country now. So I think we have to understand that what they're talking is not true. It's not truth. And so we need a Truth and Reconciliation Commission in this, or moment in this country. We need to be able to talk to each other and say, let's talk about when your ancestors came. Let's talk about what contributions your ancestors made. And then you'll see that we as a tapestry have all made America what it is, and we cannot be pushed backward to where some groups are able to prosper and some aren't.
And then how do you look at the responses or lack thereof from the White House and in particular President Donald Trump?
I can only tell you that I'm disappointed that our leadership is not standing firm in this truth, which is that pushing us backward in terms of using fear to make people afraid of other groups, other religious people who have other religions, is taking us backwards and not forwards. It is not what the Constitution or our declarations of independence declared, which is we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all people are created equal, endowed by the Creator, with inalienable rights, to the pursuit of happiness, to sort of paraphrase, that we are all entitled to that. And no group is being marginalized. Certainly not white Americans are not being marginalized by other groups also having opportunity. And so the challenge is to educate people to understand that what has occurred before was really an illusion. The fact that you were able to prosper was only because of racism and white supremacy that marginalized other groups. And once you get to understand that, and that it is okay for other groups to compete with you, we should be in a better space.
Professor Kay Lewis, thank you so much for your perspective.
You're welcome.